Today, we're installing an oil cooler on Alex's 370Z in preparation for King of QR. So if you've ever been a Nissan fanboy, especially the Z series, they can get very, very hot, very, very fast under short amount of high load. And so what Alex found at his last track day, Alex, if you want to let us in on what your last track day experience was like.
Yeah, so pretty much we got in about one hot lap and we were straight at like 150 degrees oil temp. So definitely want to fix that for this time.
Exactly. Now 150 is not unreasonable on a track, but after the very, very first lap, it does make doing 5 consecutive hot laps back to back quite challenging. So today we're doing a oil cooler by what brand, Alex?
Z1 Motorsports.
Z1 Motorsport. So here you can see part of the kit that we have here, sandwich plates and such. So we'll get right into it. Cars on the lift. We'll get the front bumper off, fender liners out, and then we'll show you us routing the cables through.
Well, that'd be great if I actually knew what I was doing.
Okay, cool. Well, we figure out what we're doing, and then we do it, and then we tell the camera what we did. Alex, what's your track experience been like so far?
Restart it, bro. I wasn't ready.
Editing things. Alex, what's your track experience been like?
Yeah, pretty minimal. We did one day at QR, King of QR last year actually. When I first got this car, it was straight stock, street tires, no suspension, and then my first day on the track as well. So definitely was a new experience. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. I'm keen to come back this year with a bit more knowledge, a bit more mods done to the car and see what I can improve on from last time.
Yeah, so you said there's some mods there. So what mods are we running out this year rather than last year?
So I got some BC coilovers earlier this year that we didn't install, once again in the LOTECH factory.
The LOTECH factory. I don't think it's the LOTECH factory, but we'll see.
So they've been really good so far. So I don't want to test it too hard on the street, but definitely handling has felt way better since installing those, so I'd highly recommend.
Do you remember what series of BC racing coolers they are?
They have a bunch of different...
Right, we'll put it up here somewhere.
Yeah, they have a bunch of different types. I forget which one it was. So right now I'm just trying to find which of these clips holds this fender liner in, because that's the first order of operations to get that off.
Yeah, so step 1, get your fender out. Step 2, under panel off. It's just a 10mm. Just using a socket arm down here. And then after that, Alex, what are we doing?
So we've already done some clips on the front here. I have to pull those off to get the front bumper. Lockie's currently getting the 10mm off the bottom. There's the GoPro off.
What are we looking at in here?
So I've got a bunch of these clips off. Basically they're these clips back here, but obviously just had to do those for the front. So yeah, once I got those, you can see I'm going to start peeling back from the side panel here.
Anyway. A little bit of corrosion over here, bud.
He's an old girl.
You ain't seen old yet.
He's got a couple.
You ain't seen old yet.
Couple battle scars.
I think Dad's scoffing in the background. Yeah, it can't be that bad. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
There goes the 10mm.
No, don't worry about it. It's all good. That part's probably not pointing anyway out.
Yeah, no. If you don't have bolts left over at the end, you're not doing it efficiently, right?
Yeah. We're doing a more efficient job.
Oh, the other thing I've also done since the last track day, because we did the coilovers, especially in the rear, these divorced, set up at OEM. So the spring and the shock are separate, but when we went to the true coilovers, we had to do all the control arms as well. So we did that from GK Tech. That's been really good so far as well.
Yeah, nice. Did that? How do they go for like ride comfortability as well?
Look, so they come at a like spring rate that they give. It is a bit stiff in the rear when I go over speed bumps, but honestly, I don't think it's a problem. They are adjustable. I just haven't got around to adjusting them yet.
Yep.
It doesn't make it super uncomfortable, but definitely it does feel a bit stiffer.
So I'm going to save you some of the pain of having to watch us struggle to get this front bumper off. So it turns out that in this particular spec of car, and I have to clarify exactly what spec Alex has purchased this car as, but there is both the daytime running lights you can see us struggling with initially. They're a little bit complicated, as well as the 3 airbag sensors. One sits just behind the number plate, 2 on either side of the opening in the grille. And they're kind of painful to get off, and the clips are really, really delicate. So we ended up having to take the crash bar off, which ended up being helpful anyway. But then we also ended up having to take the entire assembly and sensor off the bumper rather than just disconnecting the clips. So if you can get the clips off, power to you. It would be the way I'd recommend. But we ended up having to spend a fair bit of time to take this off. Honestly, more time getting the bumper off than we did installing the goddamn oil cooler. But you'll see that in a minute. So before we get too far into it, we're going to have a quick look at the bits that we get for this kit. So Z1 Motorsports, Alex, you're telling me this is from.
give us a bit of background on Z1 Motorsports and what are they supplying in the kit?
So Z1 Motorsport is a big American supplier for Z product. I heard that this 34-row cooler was really, really good, so we've opted for that one. Basically, I saw some guy on Reddit say that he lives in Brisbane, which is the city that we live in Australia.
Hang on,
and
Mighty Car Mod spec. You'll see what I mean.
And yeah, not sure what that was about. And apparently it's really good just holding temp, even just because we have natural hot climate here. So we've got some other bits and pieces. We do have this sandwich plate, which is thermostatic, which does mean that it will not overcool the car, which is really good. Obviously being 34 rows as well, it could cool it down too much, but that plate will make sure that it doesn't kick in too early.
Fantastic. We also have some nice AN lines here. Do you know what size these are?
No idea.
All right, we'll figure that out and we'll get back to you on that one. And that's about it. We also have some new oil here, so we're going to do an oil change while we're at it, and we should be good to go.
You ain't ever worked a day in your life like me, son.
Okay, so we're actually, now we've got the front bumper off, now we're going to actually get into the installation of the oil cooler. So you're going to get a few bits in your kit. So we're going to start with this bracket here. Now this bracket will go on the base of the frame. We'll show you where this goes in just a moment. Oil cooler will sit on top, and then we're going to have another 90-degree shape bracket, and this is going to require you to do some drilling, and this 90-degree bracket is going to sit up on the car here, and then you do your bolts. You'll have 3 points of contact at the bottom of the car, up here, down the bottom left here, and down the bottom right. So first things first, we're just going to take some of these extra plates off that come through the bottom that support the radiator, just so we can get a little bit more clearance of the bolts all the way through. So we'll take these off. Now if we come over to the car, what you also get in here, 1 and 2, you get these C-clip threaded bolt inserts. And so what they do, they come down over the top. And so our bracket is going to come in here. And then we're going to just straight thread bolts through the front. And then we'll drill a hole up here and we'll do the 90-degree bracket that we just spoke about. So we'll see you in just a moment when it's installed. So right now we're topping up the oil filter just to make sure there is oil in there already. We've mounted our bracket down here as we spoke about. And then we're also done our 90-degree bracket, as you can see from here. So thread it in from the back, and then we're good to go. So now we're going to run our AN lines from the top of these 2 ports. They're going to go run up behind this radiator support. And then if you can see up in here, there's a hole.
I'm just going to jump in here very quickly. Where we actually end up running these lines is beyond the crash bar support where the red arrow is pointing now, and up over the top of the washer bottle. This is actually where they mentioned in the instructional video from Z1 Motorsport where to follow these lines, but the washer bottle they use on their model is completely different. So grain of salt if you're using an Australian domestic market car, keep that in mind.
Here, which we're going to run them up and then down back to the oil filter where there is the sandwich plate that we spoke about before. Yep. We'll connect this to that and then we'll be ready to go. And so we'll show you how we route that in just a minute. So what we don't see in the video in between each clip is going to be running these lines from the top of the oil cooler. So what we've done, following the tutorial, has a different water box, what am I calling it? What do you call it? Water reservoir for your headlights and your windscreen than what is shown in their video. And you'll see up in here we've got 1 routed through there and then 1 routed around where the chassis mount for the crash bar comes out. So right now we're replacing the filter and going to add the sandwich plate. You can see we've routed these cables down. We have to route it behind the other side of the sway bar, and we've come down behind the reservoir and now we're dumping into this here, which is conveniently exactly different than how the tutorial looks like, Alec.
Yeah, bolt-on kits.
Bolt-on kits. It's a good kit, it just doesn't work for this model. So we'll see you when we get somewhere a little bit more progressed than where we are now. Because God knows it's going to take another 30 fucking minutes.
1 eternity later.
So we now have the sandwich plate on in front of the last sandwich plate between the block. Now the lines have now run underneath. They run up through here, a gap above this metal frame rail here, and as they come up out the top, as you saw before. Now we had a fair bit of a problem trying to get this sandwich plate on with these lines attached. So what we can recommend, if you have a setup that looks similar to this, because some have this extra sandwich plate and some do not, and that makes a big difference when trying to actually attach this. Put the plate on first and have the plate facing directly downwards. We still got to torque it up in the middle here, so have it facing directly downwards. Get both your lines attached this way, then we can move it up off to the side, and then we can torque down the inner bolt, and then this no longer is the lowest point of the car, as you have all this other frame that sits beneath it, plus this is also going to be covered under by the underbody tray. We can torque this down, but yeah, definitely make sure the easiest possible way is to mount it this way. We tried for ages everywhere else, and then move it up out of the way afterwards. Give yourself some slack and make your life a little bit easier, because there's no way to get around the chassis here where the engine mount is. Otherwise, how are we feeling, Alex?
Ready for KFC.
Yeah. Might be a lunch break, a bit of a zing on. And we'll catch you once we've got everything torqued down and we're starting to put things back together.
Okay, so when we turned the car on, we did actually find a leak just in that first hose there. So we've just tightened that one up. We did get the oil filter on as well, which I don't think we recorded. That was a bit difficult, but a bit of niggling and you can get it on there. Point of action now is essentially to just reverse everything that we've done at the start of taking the front bumper off, taking out those DRLs. So we're just gonna do all that, put it all back on there, and hopefully all good. We're gonna take it for a little drive as well to get lunch. If we come back and there's still no oil leaks, we're gonna assume all good to go.
Now that that's done, we can finally get started on the 8.6. Ignore the haircut. We're now getting into the camber bolts. So how camber bolts work is they replace one of two bolts. The bottom one down here, or the top one. Now the ones we're replacing we're going to be replacing the top bolt specifically. The camber bolts we got are from Whiteline. They're a standard sort of multiple use case bolt. But these bolts very specifically mention using the bottom of the two bolts for race only. Now, while this car is a race car, I think we're going to stick with the top one just so we're not overdoing it. This car goes for an alignment tomorrow, so this may be part of that video. And so we're going to get alignment very quickly and see what they say and how much camber we can get on the stock components, because there's a little bit of hearsay about what we can actually do. So we're going to crack on with that. Going to whip the top bolts out, throw the new ones back on, wheels back on, and we should be good to go.